the rest of the church that are the bride that are left will be protected by him, or a lot of them will end up being killed in martial law. A lot of the Christians that are sleeping today, a lot of churchianity that are falling for all these errors and apostasies and the horrors, the churches today, they'll be tested by death. They will, eventually have to give up their lives to prove to the Lord that they really do love him, because they're drowning in apostasies, and so they're not prepared. They're not part of the 10 wise virgins. They're part of the 10 unprepared. And so that's going to be the bulk of churchianity. But he does protect the Church of Philadelphia, the ones who are faithful, that don't make the 144,000. He will protect them here on earth. And so there's no big rapture of millions and millions of people, but a small enough one to totally annoy Maitreya and Jesus that's coming, and so I find that amusing. This Maitreya, folks, could arrive in January of 2008, February, March, and May, sometime early spring. I can't leave out January. I'm not sure. Seems to me like years ago there was something with Dick Cheney and martial law in January, but I can't remember that code. What I did find a huge source of info is that Bush and Cheney are still president when Maitreya arrives, and so and I did find a code with Maitreya of 2008. And it's also the famine year, and so we're going to start off the year with a bang, definitely. And we're not even out of this one yet. We don't even know what's going on with the United States here. We're going to bomb Iran, and the codes tend to indicate there's a lot of rhetoric going on. It's an imminent war with Iran, and so all this stuff is coming. It could happen this year, November, December, and that's what signals his arrival in January and February. I know May is really dominant, March is really dominant, February is dominant, and so those first 4 months of next year, 2008, are very dominant for Maitreya to arrive. And he would have to come early enough to knock out the spring harvest, because the first fruits harvest in Israel, and it actually is a harvest, is celebrated by Passover or Pentecost in May, and so he has to do something to destroy that harvest in May, and also the harvest at the end of the year, because being no harvest next year will put a lot of countries in famine. This is going to be a worldwide famine. Do see that Jericho and Israel will be destroyed. I don't know what happens with that. I just seen that in a code, that Jericho would be destroyed at, I can't tell you what year. A lot of cities in America are going to be destroyed too, and those are dominant for 2009 destructions. And they could also be moved up a year for 2008. The problem with the Bible codes and the Jewish calendar and our calendar is the Jewish calendar starts in September, October. The day of Yom Kippur is the Jewish New Year. And so this year it's on, according to the Qumran calendar, the 27th and 28th, from the sundown 27th to the sundown 28th. That is Yom Kippur. And so that is the New Year. The 28th is actually the New Year for Israel. And so they go from September 28th to September 28th next year, whatever the festival is next year. And we're looking at years starting from January to December. And so, these things could happen when you're looking at events in the Bible code and it's saying October 2009. Well, was it October really 2009 or October 2008? You never quite know because of the time differences in calendars and the fact that everybody's calendars are messed up. All of our times and dates are messed up. And you never see it more clearly than when you start to try to pin a feast date down, the actual one. The rule of thumb, the real easy one, is find out when the Talmudists are celebrating it, and then you know that's not the right date. Because the Talmud, that most of the Messianic temples today, and Messianic Christians and Jews follow, their feast dates, their feast times. They say they're Torah followers, they believe in Torah, but then they follow Talmud feast dates. Don't do that. Throw the Talmud out. You can go to AskMoses.com and find out when feast dates are, and those are the dates you know they're not on. Because AskMoses.com follows the Talmud timelines. And the Talmud's a satanic book. It refers to our, Jesus, Yahushua, the Son of God, is burning in hot excrement in hell. It's very, very blasphemous. It promotes pedophilia. Talks about followers of Jesus, being decapitated, and I have articles on my website, thewatcherfiles.com, about explicitly what the Talmud reveals. And when I first put those articles on my website, I had a whole group of Jewish people after me trying to get the Watcher Files taken off the internet. They wanted those articles taken off my website, and I wouldn't take the articles off. I said, I'm not supporting or promoting the Talmud. I'm exposing what the Talmud says. And that just threw them in a frenzy. I ended up losing my PayPal account. They said I was running a hate site, and I had to tell them, I'm not promoting the Talmud. I'm just exposing what it says. They didn't want to hear it. And so they really wanted those articles taken off because they don't want the Talmud exposed for what it is and what it says and what it promotes. And so you need to read those articles on my websites on the Talmud. And so as a rule of thumb, if you're a child of the Most High, as you follow Yahushua, don't do anything according to the Talmud, especially celebrating a feast on a feast date that the Talmudists are, because it's the wrong date. They have their own dates for the feast. So I'm going to get into some more about this Maitreya. So 2008, folks, is the year of the famine, and what's going to start it is wars and famine. And so January, February, March, April, May, dominant months for his arrival. He could possibly sneak in January and start building his base and not really making his presence known until one of the later months. We just need to watch out for him. Ethiopia and Iran are going to be footholds of his. I believe he'll build a confederacy and go to war against Israel and America. And if you look at the first piece of Revelation, chapter 13, he has a crown of 10 horns, and these 10 horns are 10 leaders. And that's why I believe he's going to build this confederation, this Arab confederation. He is the rider of the black horse. He's going to cause famine worldwide, destruction worldwide. The USA building him a compound in Iraq. He's going to take over that. And there's also a portal and a gateway over the Euphrates. If you look in Revelation chapter 16, I believe, it talks about the frogs being unleashed out of the Euphrates. And Revelation chapter 16, 13, and 12. And so, typically, some kind of a gateway and portal there. And that's why the U.S. is in Iraq, to gain control of that gateway that was out there. This Iranian, I can't even pronounce his last name, Ahmadinejad, had a speech today at Columbia University. Somebody sent me some of the stuff he's talked about, because this guy is right on, folks. You should be listening to some of the stuff this guy says, because he knows what's going on. He's very prophetic in the fact that he knows this Maitreya is coming. They herald him as the 12th High Man, the 12th Messiah, the last Muhammad to come. He has it a little wrong. He thinks, the Shiite leaders are sending insurgents into Iran, are coming out of Iran, so that they can put money and weapons into Iraq, so they can destroy Israel and the United States and Iraq. So they can set up a global Islamic center headquartered in Iraq. And of course, I've just told you, Bush has been building him it. He's been building it in the Green Zone. I don't think they have to destroy Israel and Babylon for Maitreya to come. He's going to do that when he arrives. And so they could have a big annihilation, chaos in Babylon and Iraq, and take over the Green Zone. But I really think they're just going to hand it to him, because Maitreya is one of these very dangerous individuals in the fact that he can hypnotize people. And I've warned about this on his day of declaration when he arrives on Earth.